What's up, hobby friends, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Or in this week's case, learn how to start a small business bravely, as best we possibly can.
Oh, we're doing this again? Is that what we're doing again, Casey? Is that what this episode is? Is that all Paint already. Bravely is now? Is just chilling for Goblin Hobbies, stamps, and stamp accessories?
No and yes.
Okay. All right.
No, we don't plan to rehash the Goblin Hobby stuff too often. We obviously still want to maintain a separation. Of course, we're going to talk about it. It's our stuff.
It's our stuff.
We like it. We want to talk about it.
People, stamps are the new hit thing. Everybody wants to hear about stamps. So, yeah. And we're the authority on stamps right now. That's what we are. Paint Bravely. Yeah. I was gonna say stamp bravely. That's just bad. That's not even. There's no value in that. It's not a pun. It's dumb.
Yeah. It's what it is.
It is what it is. That's right. That's right.
No, we're working hard on that stuff. Thank you so much for the sheer overwhelming amount of just talking about it and looking at it and commenting about it. It's been pretty insane, honestly. Yeah,
it's been overwhelming. We kind of quietly put it into a little YouTube video a week ago. Two little YouTube videos a week ago. People watch those videos and are like, "Oh man, you're stamping those squad markings onto those minis? That's cool. Tell me more about these stamps. Where and when can I buy these stamps?" Well, we're working on it. We're working on it, good friends.
Yeah. But it should be good. Should be good. We're gonna have more news soon, and we'll talk about it on and off over the next. Well, okay. I haven't done anything else the last 2 weeks, so I have nothing else to talk about.
Okay, you're allowed to talk about stamping and stamping plates and the stamping hobby.
I've been working on these old world models, right? These knights, the old fancy knights. These are the ones you painted up, Brent.
They are.
And I've gone through and put stamps on every stampable surface, and they look mighty fancy, honestly. So I've been pretty excited about these. I've done, I think, 4 of them now. Just kind of trying to figure some fun stuff out with them, but I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out.
Yeah, one of the stamping plates in the stamping starter kit is called Heraldry 001, and so there's a lot of good beasts and patterns, and you got the rampant lions and I forget what the other heraldry words are for your lions and your dragons and all that, but there's a lot of good symbols on there. Well, yeah. But here's how our business mind works. If you want the fleur de lis, you got to buy Heraldry 002. That's how we get you, because you're gonna get a lot of good heraldry stuff on 01. But there's only so much surface area on a stamping plate, and so if you want to,
couldn't fit it. Yeah,
couldn't fit it. If you want to expand your collection, get some more rampant dragons and that fleur de lis, you got to get Heraldry 002, and so on and so forth. But
yeah. That's the nature of things. But yeah, I've mostly been doing that. So I have a few other different models that I've been working on, but a lot of those in particular, which have been great. I also have a big jar. I still have that big pickle jar that I've been kind of leaving around my office. It's been sitting in a dark corner for the last 6 months with a bunch of these knights in there just swirling around.
Oh yeah,
LA is totally awesome. Yeah, so I'm just waiting for that to bake a little bit, and I'm gonna pull it out and make a video, because it just sounds
a night video.
Fun.
Dude, that's outstanding.
Yeah.
So Casey's pickle jar of juice has been in several of your videos, but also when I was over there visiting Casey, we were going through some old models. There was one night where we'd finished painting for the day, and we were just like, hey, let's look through some of your junk drawers and cabinets here, and we got into a couple of boxes out. And we were sorting and finding all kinds of good stuff, and And of course, me, being me, I find the body of Morglum Nexnappa, who is an old metal model from Warhammer Fantasy, one of the special characters in the Greenskins book. Morglum Nexnappa, and he was my general, my captain, and I find that Casey has one of the like 7 pieces that go to this mini, and so that just started me on this hunt, and I kept going, and I found his left arm with the axe, his right arm with the axe, and keep going. I know there's a head, I know there's some banner poles back there. I know there's a boar head that goes onto a metal boar head that goes onto a plastic boar, and so I'm digging, and can't find it. All I've got a solid half a Morglum Nexnappa here, but I don't have a couple of the key bits. In case he's like, "Have you checked my jar?" And he just he pulls out this pickle jar full of nasty juice.
Yeah, there's probably 10 boars and a bunch of boar boys and stuff in there at the bottom because they're metal models and the boars are plastic. But yeah, Brent went through all those.
I did not find the rest of Morglum.
Too bad. You know, it's funny now that you mention it, like, because we ended up just missing the head, right? Was it just the head?
The head, also the boar's head is less important, and he has 2 metal poles that go up behind him for banners and stuff.
Yeah. I think I actually know where those are, like right now as we're talking about it.
All right. This gives us reason to do a sequel to this episode. You're listening to Paint Bravely episode 131, but now you've got a hook to come back for 132.
See if
as if being the time in the yearly calendar when Kobold Talk normally happens wouldn't be enough for you to listen to 132, you know?
It's fair enough, yeah. I forgot about that. Anyways, like I'm thinking, I remember putting it in one of these little drawers I have over here, and I'm pretty sure I know where it's at.
We looked through all your drawers, and I gloved up and went through your entire pickle jar, man. I'm the only person on earth who knows what's in that pickle jar right now.
That's probably true, actually. Yeah. I don't even remember what's in there. Like, I threw a bunch of stuff in there.
It is a caustic liquid filled with miniatures.
It's a degreaser. I use it to clean my counters, you know?
It itches like heck. Yeah.
It is concentrated, and that is one of the side effects of that. It can cause skin irritation.
It's powerful.
That is yes, that's how powerful that is. Like, you might get some little bumpies on your handsies there. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. But I would like to go through it and get those knights out, because that would be cool. Yeah.
Well, now you have the perfect way of doing heraldry.
Yeah. You've been doing a lot more, though. You've been out of town lately. You've been hitting up some convention type things.
Yeah. I just got back from GAMA, the Game Manufacturers Expo, and it is mostly a meeting, like an industry. It's not a convention. It's an industry gathering of sorts.
It's an expo. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is for game companies to try to sell racks of games to local game stores is like the primary interaction there. There's a few announcements of upcoming things, and there are some weirdo hanger-ons like me who just show up.
Right.
So from my point of view, it's a really interesting convention at Adepticon or whatever, walking around, and it's obvious why I'm there. I paint miniatures, and that's a big convention for painting miniatures, and people see me and say hi sometimes. At GAMA, far fewer people recognize me, but also when they do, the first thing they say is, "Why are you here?"
Yeah, that's true.
Hi, Brent. I wasn't expecting to see you. Why are you here? That's the most common greeting.
Well, now we have a reason, because we have Goblin Hobbies.
Yeah. No, I was there to shill my wares, but also I just enjoy seeing kind of another side of the hobby industry. And folks are more open about, things like the markups of products at the stores, and they're much more open about when things may or may not release. And, got to sit in a couple of seminars where AMG was giving like a year roadmap for upcoming releases for Crisis Protocol, for Shatterpoint and Legion, both of the Star Wars ones. And I even saw a couple of YouTube videos that had gotten cell phone footage from that seminar. It was, just a little classroom basically with maybe 100 local store owners sitting in the classroom, and they're, sitting there taking pictures. And now there are YouTube videos of the leaks of this event, of what the roadmap is looking for. Not really a leak, but it's an interesting setting where there are kind of like pre-announcements of things that will be announced. It's maybe be considering how you're going to organize your store for the next year. Be aware that there are releases for Star Wars Legion coming out in the next year, and that there are new plastic models coming, and we're making models out of hips now, polystyrene. So
it reminds me of like a really low-key version of like E3.
Yeah.
I mean, and that was a gaming expo of the video game variety, of course. And this is basically the same thing. There are panels to go to, people to talk to, networking to do, and then there are announcements of what's coming out. So it's pretty cool to see. And I mean, we have enough of a reason to go, and more obviously now. So it's pretty cool. If you are doing any kind of a game store or are affiliated in that way, it's worth checking out for sure.
Absolutely. And of course, you and I were there the year that Too Thin Coats had a rack.
Yeah.
It was announced that Too Thin Coats would be distributed by Asmodee in the United States. And so we just happened to be the only like mini painting YouTubers there at a year where they were had physical copies of a brand new line of paint, and we scared the heck out of Bob Watts, the CEO at Transatlantis Games. And, you never know what you might find, and kind of being that outsider YouTuber folk there is fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, especially then we get hanging out with the Asmodee people, like talking about it, painting models at the booth. Like nobody else is doing that.
Yeah, they had all their paints there, and they had paintbrushes and everything. Nobody else was painting anything, but we're there. We brought our own goblins and everything. It was a good day.
Yeah, we brought our own stuff. It used to be in the town that I live in, so I was able to just go home and get a bunch of stuff to bring,
right.
Which was great. It is no longer there, which is a huge bummer for me, but I guess it's fine because for everybody else it's easier. But whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, it was in Louisville this year. It's been there a couple of years. I think it might be moving again, going like north of the Mason-Dixon line. I don't know, but I'm not actually sure if Louisville is on which side of the Mason-Dixon line, but anyway.
I don't know. I can't make a.
It sounded like the organizers of GAMA were going to move again because the gaming community tends to appreciate diversity and inclusion, and the state of Kentucky not so much. So there was like they were looking to move north, basically. So we'll see where GAMA is in future years, but it may not be in Kentucky for too much longer.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But I found the town mostly agreeable. One of my on that topic, my Uber driver did tell me that they weren't ever going to vote for a woman for president. In just a direct quote. And I said,
you just said that?
Yeah. And I was like, well, anyway, here's the hotel. Like, thanks, man.
Why?
Cool.
Why? That's a weird thing to say to somebody in an Uber. All right. I could see why they might want
to. He was really in control of that conversation. Yeah,
I assumed so. He's just
I'd been up all night and went to the airport at 4:30 in the morning, and I was not prepared.
No, and even then, I don't know.
Oh well.
That's great.
But the rest of the convention was pretty good.
Yeah, that's good.
Trying to think. Yeah, it's just those like little details that you find walking around in a convention hall, catching up with folks. One tidbit that I want to spread around here is the new plastics for Warmachine. The new plastics for Warmachine, so they are changing to be at least some of their line to be hips. At least some of their line's going to be hard plastic polystyrene.
Yeah.
And ordinarily, it's a 2-part mold, like injection molding. 2 halves of the mold come together. You squirt hot liquid plastic in the middle. It cools. You pull the parts apart. There you go. You got a sprue. But this time, or at least for one of their starter kits, they're doing a 4-part mold. So there's a top and bottom of the mold. And then there's also 2 sides that come in. And what that does is it allows for undercuts on specific parts, the parts that are on the side of the frame. So it's a normal like rectangular frame, except 2 sides of that rectangle have are kind of exposed to 2 more bits of mold. 2 more bits of steel.
So it comes out and then they connect so that the plastic can run through and wrap around like another 3-dimensional part in another axis, so it can undercut.
Yeah, so there's undercuts on these 2 of the sides of the sprues can have parts that include undercuts. And what they're using that for is big gun barrels. So on those sides of the sprue, they were kind of facing out were gun barrels, and they have big cannons that are a single part for that cannon, but it's essentially a pre-drilled gun barrel where you're not putting 2 halves of the cannon together and you see the seam line like on all our tanks in that Imperial Guard army. And I don't know, I thought that was a cool step in the right direction. The future's not all bad. Like this will be interesting. So I actually did place an order for the starter kit of Warmachine just to have one of those sprues around and be able to point to it and stuff. But
that's great. I mean, Steamforge taking over like is pretty exciting for that game. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing obviously they're doing some cool stuff, right? Like that's great. Yeah.
So I was out of the hobby when Privateer Press was at its peak. I was out of the hobby when Warmachine was at its peak. And at Adepticon this year at the Armies on Parade display, or last year, I guess, Armies on Parade. Yeah. There was one guy who had, I don't even know what it's called, but it was like a werewolf Warmahordes army. And it was amazing. It was one of my favorite displays there. But but it was also the only Warmachine army on display. And and there was a sad feeling. Like the man knew that if he didn't come back next year, there would be 0 Warmachine armies in the Armies on Parade.
That's bad. I have a feeling that's going to change because that was a pretty popular game. And I mean, I don't know what that company was doing in terms of how they were marketing it, how they were selling it, and how wide they went with everything and the kind of manufacturing. Because like all of that is intense work, right? But I knew people who quit 40K straight up and were like, "This is just a better game. Like it's way more fun," and they played it. And they still play it.
There were a couple of years there. My understanding is there was a couple of years there that Warmachine was doing well. Real well. Yeah. And then something about an edition change, and something that happened during an edition change really alienated a lot of the players, and then from what I've heard, Warmachine went from doing pretty well to doing not well at all quite quickly.
Yeah.
Quite quickly, yeah.
Dude, the how quick things can shift, in miniatures is pretty insane.
Yeah. So my understanding is that Warmachine under P3 kind of stumbled along for several more years, not doing great. And then news that we got last year is that Steamforged, makers of Guild Ball and Epic Encounters and the Dark Souls Kickstarter game, bought most of the properties from P3. Or not from P3, from Privateer Press. They bought P3 from Privateer Press.
Yes.
And it's an interesting story because apparently the founders of Steamforged Games were just old school fans of Warmachine, and due to some unfortunate events, Warmachine became cheap enough for them to acquire it. And so we're in the first year of the attempted rebirth of this property.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that a lot of the vibe in the room was partially excited to see the cool new stuff, but also there was a lot of apprehension there of game store owners who had been burned of just having unsellable Warmachine product on the shelves for a long time.
I do remember when my local store just liquidated all of it. Like all of a sudden they're like, this is all just on sale. They, in fact, not even that long ago, I think they did that with Kings of War too.
Oh,
I haven't heard anything about that game, and it was like last time I went on in there, it was like, well, here's all the boxes, they're half off.
Yeah,
we don't want it. You know, completely unrelated but similar. I haven't seen a lot of that, but I mean, Steamforged has been going pretty strong since they took over. Like I get email updates for their, what is it called, Warmachine Wednesdays. So email updates every Wednesday. It's like, here's what we're doing, here's where we're going. Like, that's pretty cool. So I mean, if they can keep on track with that, and if they were actual fans of this game, then that's probably best case scenario for people who are into that system, because who wouldn't want that? Like, people who actually want it to be the way it was are going to try and make it the way it was. So that's great.
Yep. And they did put out pretty much a year's worth of roadmap to one of those little seminar halls of, we're, for this couple of months, we're going to be putting out a lot of releases for this army, and then this army, and then this army, and then here's a secret army for these couple of months far in the future. And it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, there's some broken trust and hesitation on Warmachine, and Steamforged have killed off some of their own games and brought them back later. Guild Ball, and I don't think God Tier's doing so hot right now either. But
I mean, I keep seeing updates for it. They're bringing other stuff out. I don't know the health of that game externally, I guess, but from everything I've seen, they're like, God Tier, more of that.
Okay.
I have no idea, but it seems like they're optimistic. And I mean, they did bring back Guild Ball after people were just like, what? What did you do? You've ruined it.
Yeah.
They did. So it's hard to say. I think maybe they're going through some just some growth and learning and figuring things out as they go, like most people do. I mean, they've had massive successes with their licensed board games.
Right.
So I think that they're just in a really cool position for people who just like to play games. So, I mean, that's great.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. They're bringing back Warmachine. Some of what they were talking about looked pretty dang cool. Again, a lot of these store owners have mixed feelings on the topic. They still have some of the original stuff in a back room of their store somewhere that they took off the shelves years ago.
Might be good. You never know.
Never know. But I'm rooting for them. We'll see what happens there. The other thing they showed me was they have the new bottles and the new labels for the P3 paint. So you and I were both in the cohort that got 19 colors to check out around the time of the Kickstarter 4 or 5 months ago. And one of the things I did put that in a video, and the video was mostly about the topic of ethics and free samples in YouTuber world. Which I think confused the fine folks at Steamforged Games, but that's whatever.
I mean, it is what it is.
It's what it is. But something else that was in that video, the video was like, yeah, the paint seems pretty good. I painted some minis. It's a very satin paint in terms of the sheen, and that's kind of the most memorable thing about it. But yeah, pretty good satin paint. And the thing I really went off on them about in that video was the names. I did a 2-minute rant about coal black, because there's this kind of dark teal color that's called coal black, and in the line is also Thrallmar black, which looks like you would expect coal black to look like. And then you got boiler black, which is just a dark metallic color. And depending on your lighting, looking at the bottles, you cannot tell the difference between them. Anyway.
Yeah.
I apparently talked him into adding descriptive subtitles to their paints. So I went over to see him at this GAMA event, and Matt brought over 2 bottles for me, and a couple of bottles, and showed them to me. And yeah, coal black, which is still a dumb name for a dark teal, but right there on the bottle it says, dark rich blue or something like that.
Something like that, like dark teal, basically. Like, yes,
something useful. And every single bottle of their paint had that added subtitle, and I think that's a cool step in the right direction, and I reward good behavior, so good job on that, Steamforged. The labels on the new P3 paint are a step in the right direction. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, and they had the dropper bottles there too. Did they have the other ones? Did you see if they changed the labels on those?
No, my understanding is that the flip top bottles, the traditional P3 bottles, were only like an add-on for the Kickstarter supporters.
Oh, okay.
And that, and they did actually talk about that in the seminar, is that some people like one, some people like the other. It seems like more people like dropper bottles than the flip top, which I'm cool with, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of flip top bottles, like, they are some of the best, like, still. So that's nice. Yeah. But yeah, dropper bottles, just, I think everybody's used to that, how easy that is. Just is what it is. Just works how you want it to work. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But I don't know. I was wandering around and getting updates on things. Our buddy Greg, we talked about Hobgoblin and Blaster a little bit.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. Saw some old pals, met some new pals. Just in general, it's a much lower stress or lower energy kind of place than Adepticon. Adepticon,
yeah.
Everybody is moving fast. Everybody's got stuff to do. Folks are spending money. Folks are late to painting classes.
Yeah.
This was just wander around and like, oh, there's our buddy Sergio. Let's sit down and chat for an hour because we got nothing to do until the next seminar. So it was good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There's not a bunch of people. They don't sell anything at GAMA. Nothing is for sale. It's just set out so that people can see it. So it's like a completely different experience. Like you're literally not trying to sell people on stuff. You're just like, hey, you want to check out this cool game? It's like, yeah. show me your cool game.
The thing that's for sale is racks of games and racks of paint.
Oh, well, so, sure. Yeah. I mean, technically.
GAMA's interesting. The pricing structure, there's price for retailers, and there's in terms of the badge and getting in there's a price for retailers and a different price for media and a different price for vendors or game companies. I can't remember what they call them, but I I sneak in with a retailer badge because I room with my local game store owner, Brendan. So my badge says Crossroad Games on it, retailer, under Brent, because it's a cheaper badge and it comes with free breakfast. But for anyone about to message the folks at GAMA, I do provide consulting services to my buddy Brendan at Crossroad Games, and I tell him, like, "Ooh, that one's hot right now. Look at that." Yeah, talked him into getting a rack of Pro Acryl at the shop, and he's like, I don't know how many different paint ranges a local game store can support. Well, we're gonna find out, aren't we? Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. Turns out it's all of them essentially. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I go into my local store and I'm like, there's 3 or 4 racks of different kinds, and yeah, I'm gonna pick from each one because I gotta re-up on some different ones from different ranges. So that's how it is. Yeah.
Well, right now, Crossroad Games, if you're ever in Maine and you want to go to Crossroad Games, he's got Tooth and Coats and Vallejo, and he's got Citadel and Army Painter, and maybe soon Monument Hobbies. So
yeah.
Woo. Pretty good selection off there at Crossroad Games in Standish, Maine. Yeah.
It's not bad at all, yeah.
Not bad. Ran into the guys who make Marcher Empires at War, so that's kind of a up-and-coming war game, and they were probably the only like war game guys demonstrating a war game, but I got to play that. It's kind of an alternate history World War II that has mechs and stuff, but World War I never happened, so they just kind of call the war that started in 1938 the Great War. And the Great War starts when old Archduke Ferdinand gets assassinated, which is pretty funny. But
okay, so it's just like somehow pushed off for later. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
It was something like the timeline diverges in the 1600s. And at some point, there's anti-grav technology is invented that kind of helps to allow mechs to be possible. And what else was in there? I don't know. World War I didn't happen because Ferdinand makes it another 20 years or so, 25 years. But the final destination catches up to the old Archduke eventually. So he might even be king in that game. I don't know.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yeah. So it's
sounds good, yeah.
and the game system was good. It's a D10 system. That seems logical and easy to learn. The D10s allow there to be more nuance with light cover and heavy cover and stuff like that when you're when you're checking to see if you have sight lines and that sort of thing. But yeah, Marcher Empires at War seems decent. They've got a lot of cool sculpts for it. It is right now it's STL, but they are working on getting models made in plastic. So yeah, up and comers.
That's always cool to see, like when a company is just gonna go in on their models and make plastic, because like at that point that they're like, yes, this is really good. Like we want to invest in this. Their STLs though, they're on My Mini Factory. They have some cool stuff, like some real cool stuff. So definitely worth checking out.
They do. Yeah. But yeah, just a handful of relatively young guys who are super excited about this, obviously putting work in. At least one of them is clearly a talented sculptor, and I think you can learn more about that game on the Tabletop Time channel. I think they did a couple videos about Marcher Empires at War. So
nice.
So we got that going on. What else? What do you got? Did you go to any conventions? You go to your game store or anything? Did you leave your house? Get it?
I haven't left my house in
Panda
months.
Express?
No, I get that ordered in now. I don't even leave. No, I've been getting ready for obviously like Adepticon and stuff. I've been stamping up a bunch of models. I actually haven't shown you these yet. I did the Res Nova models. that you painted.
Yeah, the Warzone Eternal.
Yeah. So I got some real nice stamps on those guys, some little teeny tiny skulls on their knee pads and numbers on their shoulders and a little skull. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna put it up to the camera so you can see it.
Cool.
Yeah, some fun stuff on those. And these are cool models. I like these. So I've been working on that a little bit and working on a bunch of Space Marines because can't do nothing without Space Marines apparently.
You got some good shoulder pads going?
Yeah, some like pretty good looking shoulder pads in general.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got some of these blue ultramarine type models. I got this white and red, like what are those called? Like white scars, I think.
Yeah, sure.
So I did. Yeah, I think that's what they are. They got the lightning bolts and such.
Give them some generic lightning bolts. That's cool.
Essentially, yeah. But these actually look really good. Like you painted these, and they're pretty straightforward colors, But like I gotta say it because I have to. The stamps look good.
The Goblin Hobbies stamping kit plates.
They just do. They just do. Like this marine looks better, and I'm stupidly excited just holding this stupid little model and just be like, oh, I cannot believe that. But yeah, so I've been deep in it for the last few weeks, putting together all sorts of stuff and getting these models taken care of and trying to get everything ready for Adepticon so we have like a decent booth. We're going to have some models on display so that, you can kind of see different variations and options, and got to get all the actual booth stuff, that's got to be designed and printed and shipped. And that's where I've been at. So my hobby has been very much focused on those things.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hadn't seen some of those models, but that is looking good. The
potential
I feel like of these stamps really endless.
Stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I also have 400 or 500 Kobold Magic the Gathering cards that
from last time, or did you order more?
I haven't ordered more. This is just what I have left in my stock, but
okay,
there's probably 100 of them here.
I thought you were going to tell me that you used the company card device.
I bought 2,000 taunting kobolds. I got a sweet deal on eBay. Yeah.
So you'll be seeing that bill soon. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Just a heads up. It's really is justified. It's justified. I had to do it. Yeah, definitely have a lot of those. I'm hoping that we can do that. And I think I may have shown this, but I got the big bag of models pre-packaged now to do stuff with.
The prints of the goblins. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been printing models out too. I have like another 20 that are on the rack that have just finished, drying.
And that's if people are nice to us at the convention, you can hit them up with a goblin. Is that the idea?
I mean, that's the idea.
Okay.
That's the idea.
All right, we'll have to discuss where the threshold is on how nice you have to be to get a goblin. Because we don't want to run out.
I'm thinking.
Yeah,
well, exactly. I didn't print that many. That's probably what's going to happen. Those first day in 100 of these are going out the door.
After that, somebody's like, "Hey, I heard you have goblins." Like, nope, but I do have a Kobold Magic the Gathering card.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's taunting kobold, so it's very appropriate.
Outstanding.
No, I think probably like if you sit down, because we're going to try and run demos at the booth, and I think that's going to be a fun thing to do, and we can show you on these models specifically different things that you can do with them, because they're not hard to paint, but you can also just stamp directly onto the resin. That works just fine, and then you paint over it. So that's kind of where we're at. But I don't know, I'm getting excited because it's been a minute since the last Adepticon, and I think it's time.
Right. Are you preparing for Resin Beast 2025?
Dude, not even a little. No, I had plans. I've had plans all year. I even printed models out. Like I went through and printed out Bisterium models and got them like cleaned up perfectly. I bought plinths. I literally have plinths ready to go. I've got ideas. I've got drawings. I haven't done anything because honestly, I'm not going to have time. I'm not going to have time to do it. So I'm not going to do it.
2026. Yeah. Do it.
We'll see. Should be good.
So every year the sponsors for Resin Beast change a little bit. So I went to the website before we started recording, and this year, 2025, if you want to enter Resin Beast, your model needs to be recognizable as Creature Caster, Loot Studios, Eldritch Foundry, Dragon Trapper's Lodge, Army Painter, or Bestiarium Games.
Okay.
Bestiarium.
I thought you were going to say that Bisterium was not on the list anymore. That would have been devastating.
I'm not seeing Conquest on this list.
Oh, you're right.
I'm not seeing Parabellum on there. So
interesting. I
bought
models for that too.
Yeah.
I legitimately
I don't know what
did.
the story is. I don't know if that's just a typo, but maybe Drama Alert. I don't know.
I guess we'll find out. I don't know.
Or maybe it's just kind of a rotating list of sponsors and things kind of go. But yeah. There are definitely there's some new things on the list this year than there were from last year, and
yeah, no, which is really good to see. I really do want to see that competition grow into just tons of different companies, because the options that they have are already pretty varied, right? Like there's even just this company's favorite model, they just get a pick. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah,
I like that a lot. So if you happen to be like, even, maybe you didn't win gold in whatever category or something, or anything in a category, but they're like, you know what, we just really like this model. Like, you still have a shot, right? Yeah. Like, creativity comes into play at that point, and you could still do well at a competition because it's just, they just like it. Yeah. That's great. It's really great. I should say, I was planning on doing Golden Demon again because that seemed good. I got a finalist pin last year, which I felt was decent. And I don't think I've actually said this yet, but I did use stamps on that model. And I'm sure that helped me get that finalist pin, because the stamps made that look a lot better. And it's a little bit tough to see because I did do some weathering and masking over it, but there's basically type on the shield of this Black Templar that I did. And like, if you get in close enough, you can read it. It's like, for the Emperor something, I can't remember what I wrote, but it's there. And I stamped it on there. So just throwing that out there.
I forgot about that. That's so good.
Yeah, stamps were in Golden Demon before we talked about it. So pretty stoked on that.
Yeah. I think Green Stuff World is going to have a real hard time backdating their fraudulent patent applications on this one, because you especially been sneaking stuff in for a couple of years now. Yeah, I
got time-stamped footage, my friend.
That's right. Yeah, Green Stuff World, you got to go back. You got to backdate before like 2023 on this. Like just heads up. Yeah,
and we're not going to give away the exact date because we don't want that. But.
No, because it'd be funny if they like backdated and still messed it up. That'd be funny. Yeah,
they would too, because there's definitely stuff that I've put in videos and stamped and done that have hard dates on them that are like, yeah. Too bad. Too bad.
Now we're just having fun here, but don't mess with Goblin Hobbies. That's all. Don't
just
mess with Goblin Hobbies.
We have a lawyer. Mm-hmm.
That's right. We do. Forgot about that.
yeah, we do. We technically, we do. And we did have that conversation. So there you go.
And we are serious business people too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Here at Goblin Hobbies. And so I got something in the mail today.
Yeah, that's great, because I was just looking at something today.
All right. So Spellcrow reached out to me and was like, "Hey, do you have time to look at Argatoria?" I was like, "No, I don't really have time." They're like, "Well, here, we'll send you some Argatoria samples anyway." And I am glad that they did this. So this is a 10 millimeter looks like a rank and flank 10mm fantasy game. And the aesthetic and vibes and nostalgia coming off of every piece of this look amazing. So these are little resin minis that, at least with the color schemes that you're using on the box art, make me feel the way I felt when I was flipping through a 1990s Greenskins codex for Warhammer Fantasy. Like the art that they are using for their 10mm models, the color palettes that they've chosen, the green battle mats that they've put them on.
That's what's doing it for me. The battle mats.
It's that, but then when you flip through the rule book, I mean the pictures, the layout, everything feels good. It feels good. But also, you know, the original illustrations are looking cool. Gordon, I swear to God, Gordon, we are trying to talk about Argatoria here. I have to. I haven't memorized that word yet, but I'm working on it. Argatoria.
Right.
Argatoria. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Argatoria.
Probably not. That's fine.
Great battles in the barbarian's world.
Nice.
From Spellcrow. Yeah.
Yeah, these have come up a few times for me because I've done the Conquest in a tiny box, 15mm game, and I did Warcry in a little box, and I've put these things together, and Argatoria has come up several times in those videos, and since then of people like, you need to do this, like put this in a little box, and I do like a good 10 to 15mm model, and their stuff looks pretty legit. Like, yeah, it's not bad at all.
These look
definitely
real
worth
good.
looking into. Yeah.
Now the surfaces are a little small for stamping. I'm not seeing any big tower shields or anything that I want to stamp in here.
Sure.
But I do want to paint these little dudes. We got little frogmen and little lizard people, and as you know, little lizard people are basically kobolds. Yeah, we got a wide variety of barbarian types. This appears to be a yeti, possibly a Bigfoot. It's good
yeti
stuff.
or Bigfoot? Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well, kind of the same thing, depending.
It really very much depends.
It depends on whether it's snowing out, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's part of the Sasquatch tribe for sure.
Yeah.
All right, for you listening at home, please take out a piece of paper, draw a Venn diagram, and place upon it the words Sasquatch, Yeti, and Bigfoot.
Right.
Let us know. Yeah. Let us know how that turns out.
A Bigfoot is a named character in the Sasquatch family, while a Yeti is like a mountainous Sasquatchian type monster that lives in the snow.
That's true. No, you got it. I think you think Bigfoot is a single individual. That's a proper noun.
I think that is a proper noun. I think they're like, you know what, Sasquatch guy, that's your name. You're Bigfoot. He's just a big.
It's just the one guy that was in that one video. Okay.
I mean, basically,
a named Sasquatchian. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Wasn't there a whole multi-season show about this topic? Hunting Bigfoot,
actually, I do believe that I've seen some of this. Yes,
and like actually, the History Channel.
Yeah, like on a legit History Channel. People who do actually just genuinely go out looking for Bigfoot, or a Sasquatch, and yeah, there's some pretty hard damning evidence, if you will, as to the person who portrayed the most famous Bigfoot video that's out there, and like.
Just because they rented a gorilla suit and then...
and he walked from one side to the other in like less than stellar quality footage.
They need to sell advertisements on multiple seasons of a History Channel show. You can't be ruining this for them.
I mean, I'm not trying to.
They've got people who need to walk around with GoPro cameras in the Pacific Northwest at night.
Of course. Like, you got to have your reality TV. I mean, it's the same idea is if you strapped GoPros to a bunch of flat earthers and told them to find the edge. Like, it's the same show. So I'm okay with it.
It's a pretty good show.
I mean, it would be. It honestly would be. That sounds great.
Find the edge. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and you got edge of your seat jokes. You got like monster trucks. Really good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So good.
Should we put a Sasquatch on a stamping plate?
I feel like
hairy little man, monster truck.
It's not a bad idea. Yeah, monster truck stuff. Actually,
I don't think we could sell an entire plate of monster trucks, but
we could
get like profile and then like one that's like coming right at you.
I think we could. Not necessarily like silhouettes of monster trucks themselves, but like Gaslands type stuff that would go on cars. Like clearly flames on a monster truck. Like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah, we have some
great.
flames. We have some flames.
Oh yeah.
On the Elements 01 plate, but
I don't know if it's monster truck worthy, but I think
some of them could be. Yeah.
There are actually, that's true. There are a couple that are pretty long, like big flames that could easily go from the front to the back of like a Hot Wheels car. No problem. That would actually be sick. I'm going to try that now because I got some Gaslands that needs to be painted up, like actually that are kitted out but not primed yet. So I got work to do. I got more stamping to do.
Yeah, go trade your son something for a couple of monster trucks,
dude. I think they're in my office right now. There have to be like 50 Hot Wheels cars, at least. So yeah, I got a lot to choose from, and he is actually on a fairly regular basis asking me to print out more accessories to make more Gaslands, because that was a project that we did as a family, like my wife and my son and myself. We went to the store, we purposely purchased a bunch of Hot Wheels cars. I printed out an obscene amount of bits and we glued them onto our cars, and then I primed them all and we sat down with brushes and painted them. And it was great. And they turned out awesome.
That's awesome. You just reminded me we need to make fun of Scott Miniac for just a second. He did a really good Gaslands build a couple of months ago. Took a Hot Wheel car, took it apart, stripped it down, put some awesome new details on it, made a really cool little Gaslands build. And the funniest part of that video was like, these Hot Wheel cars are so cheap. This only cost me $9. He's holding up a Hot Wheel car. He's like, yeah, this is only $9.
Scott, what are you doing? What?
No, those are $1 at the grocery store. What $1.99 if the grocery store is trying to make some money. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, those are $1. They're $1. They've always been. Pretty sure they always will be.
No, but he got the Porsche Hot Wheel, which is
I have some Porsches.
$8 or something. Yeah.
Okay. Just to be fair, there are nicer versions of some cars that are sold with rubber tires, for example, because they're collectible, like showpiece cars. Some of them have openable doors, trunks, these kinds of things.
Okay.
Not necessarily Hot Wheels, brand. Okay.
Yeah.
There are die-cast collectible cars that do cost a good amount of money that are like real nice. Although I do question buying one of those and cutting them up for Gaslands. But you do you, Scott.
Yeah. And then afterwards put some flames on that sucker.
Yeah, more flames.
Right on. All right. So I got through my Aerox and Dyrandis from Argoratoria.
All of those words. I know some of those, yes.
I will learn. So this is a rule book that has enough pictures to keep my attention for the part where there are pictures. Yeah.
This is why we know how much Hot Wheels cost.
So I keep saying Spellcrow because when they emailed me, I got it caught in my brain that it was Warcrow. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know they made a 10mm game. That's so cool. Right. And then it showed up in the mail today, and I'm like, why is it selling Spellcrow all over everything? Is this a collaboration with Corvus Belli and Spellcrow here? Like, no, I was just an idiot. So. Wanted to point that out.
Just keep it going, yeah.
So Spellcrow's the company that I had been most familiar is selling cool bits for orcs and stuff like that. Yes. Alternate resin orc heads and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. And they got lots of bits.
They had a cool library, but man, the art on this mini miniatures game, them color palettes. All right. I'm glad they reached out to me.
That's good.
I'm getting distracted over here.
Yeah, paint up some 10mm models now.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm over here. I'm supposed to be stamping goblins, but I'm just going to be over here with my A-Rocks. Yeah.
See, as long as you can put a stamp on it, then
I sure can't. Yeah, very small. Very small.
I mean...
they're tiny little kobold people, and
yeah.
There are limits. There are limits.
I mean, yes, there are limits. I guess.
Give this troll a tattoo, though. You can do that.
There you go.
There we go. Boom.
Yes, that's exactly. I think we nailed it. All right. You got anything else? Any standout things before we wrap up here from GAMA?
I got nothing.
That's what I thought. Let's go play with some Hot Wheels. Anyways, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening. We will talk to you next time.
Talk to you next time.